what happens when the fourth turning meets fifth generation warfare.
A commentator, international social media sensation, and former Navy intelligence veteran.
This is Human Events with your host, Jack Posobiec.
Christ is king.
All right, we are here with Harrison Fields. I want to make sure I get this right. Special assistant to the president and deputy press secretary for the White House. What's going on, man?
Good to see you. It's always a pleasure.
I just have to say, I really appreciate you guys doing this podcast, Ro. The way that you're reaching out to new media, engaging new voices. And again, it's not about us. It's about all the people who follow us, who retweet us, that are out there in the mix. It really feels like this time around, the admin just gets it when it comes to comms.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we are no longer in that generation where you flip through the paper every morning. We're listening to you. We're listening to different podcasts. We're consuming media in a totally different way than we did even 5 years ago. So we're adjusting to the times like we're doing really throughout the entire administration. I mean, DOGE is an old idea that we're making fetch right now in 2025, and we're just trying to make it more efficient. So we're just trying to bring our country into 2025, and we're doing that with media too. It's really great. Hopefully we get to see you in the new media seat in the briefing room.
Caroline keeps asking me.
You got to come.
I'm going to come. We'll do it. We'll do something. Yeah. But, you know, it's amazing too, because you're even breaking stories yourselves, for example, because I keep seeing this. I tell people all the time, and it seems like this admin is the first one that actually has embraced it, is the power of someone just filming something, a selfie video, or turning the camera on themselves just on an iPhone, and to be able to get something up on X is faster. So I wake up this morning and got up a little earlier than usual to get here on time, and little did I know there's an MS-13 raid that's been going on like down the street practically, right here in the National Capital Region. And oh, look, how do I know about it? Because it's already trending on X, because the administration's put it out, because members, I think Attorney General Bondi had posted it. She had some videos there. And so it's already up. And that's a way to drive the news cycle, in addition to not only getting the massive W out there, but it drives the news cycle in a way that I don't think the traditional comms people even quite understand.
Yeah, it's a strategy I try to embrace when I worked for Byron Donalds. I was just like, sir, instead of just facing the camera, turn the camera on you and talk. He's one of the most authentic people out there.
And one of the few that can actually do it, too.
Yeah. So he's a rock star in it. So we started doing that. Content blew up. This is exactly what the American people want. It brings a human side to them. President Trump understands media. He's built an incredible digital team, a videographer team, photography team that gets this stuff. All the content we do is sick. I mean, you have at 4 or 5 in the morning, members of our cabinet in Northern Virginia taking down one of the leaders of MS-13, a guy that was really sleeping in your backyard. I live in Northern Virginia. Had no idea this guy existed. Knowing that he lives so close, probably 15 minutes from where I live. I've got a 6-month-old at home, 6-month-old girl. To know that MS-13 was that close to my house in high-tax Fairfax County, they're taxing everything. And then we got MS-13 sleeping on our streets. The crazy thing about it is that luckily we have a governor in Glenn Youngkin that cooperated with our administration. Had we not had a Republican governor in that position, they would have given safe harbor to someone like an MS-13 gang member, which is another reason why we got to make sure we have more Republican governors.
So is that something that's been going on? Have there been times that, if you can, don't have to say where exactly, but where ICE or the FBI has wanted to go in somewhere and a governor has been trying to block it?
Governors and mayors. I mean, the governor of Illinois, Pritzker, and the mayor of Chicago has already said proudly that they will not cooperate with ICE. They will not cooperate with the federal government. But compare that to a mayor like Eric Adams of New York City, the largest city in the world. He's cooperating because he understands this is a problem. When you have black people in the south side of Chicago going to city councils and demanding that they as Americans are prioritized over the rights of these illegal immigrants that are tearing apart, especially minority urban neighborhoods, you've got a problem. But you still have a Democratic Party that's so resistant because at the end of the day, they do want to make them voters. So it's a devastating reality that they face, but they're on the wrong side of this issue. I mean, this is slowly becoming like an 80-20 issue in the president's favor. No one wants criminal aliens on our streets. He's taking care of it.
Oh, we're from the Philadelphia area originally, and I remember when Congressman Donalds would come down, and he came to find that, hey, guess what? it's the same issue in all of these cities. And what they've done to Kensington Beach and some of those areas of Philadelphia, which, by the way, that was an area when I was a kid, you could go shopping there on a Sunday with like your family. You go to church, then you'd ride the train down, ride the L, Market Frankfurt, you get off, you do a little shopping, whatever, get some water ice and do whatever. And then you go, that's what we call water ice, but I don't know why, we just do. And, but now I look at that, that's my thing. I can't take my kid there.
No.
I got 2 little boys. I can't take them anywhere.
No.
You go to these places and say, wait a minute. And so much of this is a choice. So much of these things were choices. And I refuse to believe that when I hear the left talk about this, particularly cities, it's you just get this gobbledygook of, well, it's socioeconomic factors and this and the migration. And you're just like, you're getting like a PhD dissertation. I'm like, what are you talking about? Just clean it up.
Yeah.
Just go clean it up.
The Democrats' mantra last campaign cycle was we're turning the page, or we're not going back, was their thing they hit on all the time. And a lot of us were saying, we actually want to go back.
Right.
We want to go back to a time when there was sanity, a time where you remember you were able to go to these areas of Philadelphia and feel safe. Yep. So many Americans are saying, what happened to our country?
I'll give you one. This is so funny because this came up the other day. I don't know why. I know what you're talking about publicly. In the 90s, my grandmother lived in Center City, Baltimore.
Wow.
Center City, Baltimore. And we were totally fine with that.
Yeah.
And there was no, we knew, because back then it was like, okay, there's certain areas you don't want to go to, right? You want to go to West Baltimore, you want to go to East Baltimore. But right downtown, it was fine. You go down, you go to Inner Harbor, it's totally fine.
Yeah.
National Aquarium's right there. It's great. As a kid, it was awesome. Now, the whole thing. It's the whole thing.
Well, because part of this whole dissertation theology of the Democratic Party is that they're testing out this whole, well, let's not prioritize the victims. Let's somehow prioritize the criminal. It's absolutely bonkers. My mom served in the NYPD for over 20 years. She worked every single day to make sure that she protected victims and took care of criminals. Now, this same NYPD, they're the ones in cuffs. They're not able to do their job because of this liberal mentality in which you cannot prosecute crime. It's absolutely backwards. You look at what happened in San Francisco. Yeah. Tucker Carlson talks about it all the time. He called it the best city in the world. And look at San Francisco
There's
today.
some old, that old movie Vertigo. With Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah.
When you go watch that, as great of a movie as it is, I found myself watching it, like a year ago. I was sitting down and I said, wait a minute, this was San Francisco?
Yeah.
This is what it was. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
It literally is a shining city on the hill. Like that was the city.
Yeah.
Actually in Chinese they call it Jiujinchan. So they call it's the old Golden Mountain.
Wow.
So they literally refer to it as like the city on the Golden Mountain.
It was.
Golden Gate Bridge. That's where it all came from. And so I'm like an East Coast guy. I have no affinity for California or something, but it's like, wait a minute, this wasn't that long ago when all of these cities were amazing. Sure, they had issues, but it wasn't like it is now. And yet, for some reason, we in this country have decided to prioritize things that are, thousands of miles away and halfway around the world versus, hey, guess what? The people who live there, those are American citizens.
Yeah.
And we're American citizens. And why do we allow conditions like this ever in our society? And I really do agree with you. I think it's a choice.
Yeah. My oldest brother, he lives in Queens, born and raised in Queens. Apolitical guy, really doesn't care about politics. But one thing he always says is that our backyard is hurting. Our kids are hurting. Our schools suck. Our potholes aren't filled. The crime hasn't stopped. But yet we're shelling billions of dollars overseas. We're over here funding trans theater in South America. Like, what are we doing as a country? And this is why the president won, because he was just bringing it back to common sense and bringing it back to things that the American people can actually hold onto. They want a secure border. They want lower taxes. They want to be able to thrive in their communities. And the Democrats are running on some crazy nonsense that they don't understand themselves.
No.
But you're right. It is a choice. And President Trump is making what really is easy decisions, but tough decisions in a world that seems so backwards right now. Like, it's not controversial to deport members of TDA, and yet you have a judge that is trampling on the president's Article 2 powers to get rid of these people. And yet you have liberal judges in Seattle, of all places, that are saying, yeah, you can't do that. We actually want you here.
I mean,
It's
imagine.
nuts.
I always say put this into another country, right? So imagine there was a transnational gang that had invaded China.
Yeah.
Do you think China would sit there and say, oh well, Judge Boasberg or whatever it is, he has a ruling and we have to do this. So get him out.
It's ridiculous.
No serious country would. Or my wife comes from Eastern Europe, and she looks at it from a complete. She said, why do you allow this?
Yeah.
Why does America allow these things to happen? No, and she also says. Well, I would say up until last year, but she would say, why haven't you thrown your president out of office?
Yeah.
If he is allowing these things to go on, he was kind of thrown out of office.
Yeah, luckily we did.
Through an election,
Yeah.
but you know what I mean? The American people finally said, you know what, enough is enough.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it's going. So the question is, I guess, then, from your standpoint, do you think 4 years is enough to turn it around? Do you think it's enough to change the mindset and get things moving in the direction? How does the administration think about that?
Well, it's a really good question. And I would say I think the last 4 years under Joe Biden did us a favor in that a lot of the American people were saying, do we want to live like this? So I actually think you're seeing the psyche. It was a wake-up call. The psyche of our country has slowly been shifting. So I think President Trump is at an advantage right now that everything that he's doing, that the American people voted for him to do, is kind of like that dopamine hit to the brain of like, yeah, this makes sense. This is what we want. So he has this mandate to push forward because the last 4 years has been a disaster. So I think the American psyche has totally did a 180. We're moving away from the policies of the left. And I think you're seeing that across the country. If you look at the election results in places like the Bronx, you had 15% swings for President Trump. Look at Chicago. I mean, when you talk about New Jersey being won by President Trump in single digits, you know the country is shifting in a way that is great for us and great for the constitutional republic.
But by the way, in Pennsylvania, which was one of the swingiest of the swing states, where you had $500 million poured in just in one state, those swings in Philadelphia helped us to win the entire state.
And it's generational.
And it's absolutely generational.
Yes.
That's key.
You're seeing members of my generation, Gen Z, they're all shifting. There's a shift happening, not just in our country. If you look at other countries, there's a shift happening as well. Even the left doesn't like living in the shit that they create, pardon the French.
No.
Look at what they did to Chesa Boudin in San Francisco. Even the left voted that person out.
Oh, we'll talk about generational in Chesa Boudin.
Yeah, you did. Right. So there is a shift happening. And I think the good thing about it is President Trump had the 4 years. He understands how this works. That's why a lot of the left is like, hey, we really don't know what to do. Because he gets it. He has an amazing team. Stephen Miller, Susie Wiles, Caroline Levitt. I mean, we've got such a team. And then talk about the cabinet. This is a cabinet that is in lockstep with the President of the United States. We don't have a John Bolton problem anymore. We don't. So everyone's so committed. Thank God, right? Everyone is so committed to the agenda that there's a reason why we've been able to move at Trump speed. And the American people are really like, wow, he came here with a mandate and he's delivering.
Now, first 100 days is coming up. Obviously, people understand that this Trump speed, warp speed is all going on right now. Do you think things will slow down as we move into the first 200 days, the next 100 days, or does this pace seem to be really set by the president? Does he show any signs that he wants to slow it down?
Yeah, this was a day one commitment. When I was a day one hire here, January 20th, and I knew this was going to be the speed of all 4 years. We have nothing to lose right now. We have to move full speed ahead. 4 years goes by like this. So we need to make sure every single hour of every single day is being used to our good, and that's what we're doing. The next step now is the connection with Congress. How do we get this reconciliation bill passed? I was talking to a ledge guy this morning on the way into work. Things are looking really, really good. One big, beautiful bill potentially. You're looking at historic tax cuts. You're looking at deregulation. President Trump wants to have a tax deduction that if you have your car made in the USA, guess what? You can deduct 10% of your payments. That's incredible. That was an idea that they used to have in the 80s. My mom would tell me that you would be able to have a tax deduction on your vehicle back in the 80s. He's bringing that back now. It makes sense, especially if your car's made in the USA.
Postal household is all you American
all
cars.
All in.
And we started that when Ford didn't take the bailout, and we stuck like that ever since.
Yeah, and then you talk about all the people. The left is making us all into EV drivers. I mean, you're talking about what they're doing to Tesla.
We love Elon, but come on,
never be an EV.
I'm not there yet.
I hear you. I'm all in on gas.
It's fun. I've been in them. I've done the Cybertruck. I was Tucker actually had me in when they did the Cybertruck, and I hear the Waymos are coming to DC now.
Oh yeah,
the driverless taxis.
Yeah.
So they'll be coming around now. But I can't. I just don't know if I can do it yet.
Hey,
Can't do it yet.
you know, I think the one thing, if people had the money, and luckily under the Trump economy they will, just as a sign of like the left has gone so crazy, and just buy themselves a car, particularly the one that we have. I can't endorse the car, so I'm not going to go there. But I think the left is just, they're in shambles. They don't know what they're doing. They used to be for EVs, now they're blowing them up. They used to be against.
Literally. We were talking about that recently, and it shows how the left truly is programmable by TV or whatever they're reading online. Because I can't go to somebody on the right and say, you must hate Donald Trump. Of course, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. But you go to them and say, Tesla was the flagship of the left. This was the apotheosis of the green movement, of the climate change agenda, was the electric car, the first electric car. And to see them in an instant turn it into a symbol of derision, of hate, and destruction, to be a target for open terrorism, it, on one hand, I would say it blows my mind, but it's actually revealing. It gives me clarity. It gives me so much clarity. They don't actually believe in this stuff. They just want to tear down everything in this country and this civilization that's ever been.
Well, the support of EVs was already kind of like a head scratcher, because if you look at the components of what it cost, the materials of the cobalt, these people are like the biggest white privileged people out there, just walking around like feel so bad that they're white, let alone the Tesla or the other cars that they were driving. The cobalt that goes into the battery was made from slave hands.
Guess where that's from.
And guess what? They had no problem with that. They just ignored that. So I was like, listen, stop your virtue signaling. Stop it all. You don't have a single bone of principle.
I think if I could sum up, and I want to be respectful of your time, I know you got to run. If I had to sum up, I guess I would say it's one side found themselves living in a fantasy land, and one side actually lives in reality. And I think if that keeps going, I think you're going to see more and more successes from this administration.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Where can people follow you?
Harrison W. Fields or Harrison Fields 47, my official account on X. That's where I do all my posts.
Appreciate it.
Good to see you.
Thanks again for having us.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me.
Want to say thank you, of course, to the White House, to the press team for bringing us in today, for arranging these interviews, giving us a behind-the-scenes inside look to what's going on inside the White House. This is a testament to how the Trump administration is now reaching out to new media, to new audiences. And it's not about just us here about Human Events Daily, but everyone that we go out and touch as we share this information and tell the truth about what's going on behind the scenes of the White House here for you in the confines of the incredible People's House of the White House, really making it the People's House once more. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, you have my permission to lay ashore.